All right. Just want to wait a couple of minutes, give a couple of people a moment to get in here. Uh, I don't plan on making this a very long podcast. You guys know that I haven't done too many podcasts lately. I think I think this is only my third podcast that I've probably done in the past 3 weeks or something. Um, did the podcast a couple of days ago, talking about my anticipation for Alvo. And then I gave my thoughts on the MLB to Game Pass situation. So, yeah, I think this makes my third podcast in about 3 weeks or so. So, um, again, I'm at a point where I'd rather play games than to sit behind a mic talking about them. But I think this is I think this is a pretty good reason to have a podcast. So, let me see here. Sorry, let me see here. Def Floyd, what's good? Let me make sure I'm not getting any compromises in the. Okay, not getting any drop frames, no compromises. So I think we can go ahead and proceed. Nah, the customary and obligatory intro. Yo, what is good, everybody? It is the Godfather of VR, the ageless one of the man, Lincoln Clay, coming back at you with a live stream podcast. Giving my thoughts on Alvo, as I've, definitely had to put some time in it yesterday, but then again, I put some time in it the night that it came out. And once again, I want to talk about Alvo relative to Firewall, and some of the things that I have to say. It might be construed as me trashing Firewall, but it's not the case. It's really not, because believe it or not, Firewall is still one of my favorite first-person shooter games in VR. So, yeah, the title. Alvo has given me a reason to play my PSVR and Aim Controller regularly. So, DJ, what's good? So, yesterday I was talking back and forth to my UK buddy Ham, and shout out to Ham. Speaking of which, real quick before I get into this, Ham, I believe, managed to get keys for the Grand Theft Auto style Battle Royale Gang V. So he wants to do a stream tomorrow. The problem is that I'm on 10-hour shifts, so I won't get home until 10 p.m. UK time, which I believe is GMT time. I don't know if that's still GMT, if it's still called GMT time because of the jump, and with them having to go ahead at 1 hour. I think that happened a couple of weeks ago. So in any case, that's the ball's in Ham's court there, because we also have to keep into consideration that Kevy D will be joining us, and he's I'm sure he's under a schedule too. So we'll see if we can make it all work. So it could end up being a situation where they might go ahead, and then I'll just join when I get home. So also, same deal with ACC Friday. I'll be coming in late because of me having to work late. So, but definitely make sure you check us out for ACC Friday. And also, we had so much fun with Alvo yesterday that we want to make this a regular thing on Monday, where we basically do like a first-person shooter Monday, where every Monday we get together and play some first-person shooters. So it may not necessarily be Alvo every week, but I know Ham wants to play some first-person shooter games, and there's several of them out there, and I think that's the beauty of having multiple avenues to play your games, with Oculus Quest, PC, and PlayStation VR. So definitely tune in for those. I think I like with we never officially discussed it, but I like what we've got going on. Ham is at the center of this You know, he built his own Discord community, and I like what he's doing with us getting together for group sessions. You know, with ACC Friday, now we're gonna have first person shooter Mondays. So I like how Ham is putting this together, and I feel like we're gonna grow our channel together. We're not too far away from each other in terms of how many subs we have. So I think we can grow our channels together, working together. So big shout out to Ham for putting in the legwork, contacting devs, and I think this Gang V key that he got for us. This was a DJ Ham's his YouTube channel is in the link of the description. So if you want to just this podcast right here, if you want to just check the description, the link to Ham's channel is in the description. So we're promoting each other like that, and I think in his streams you might find the link to my channel in the descriptions of his channel, and I think he's also done something with the live cards where you'll get a little flash in the corner that suggests subscribing to my channel. So we're definitely working to help each other and promote each other. So I'll definitely like what we got going on here. And by subbing to Ham's channel, DJ, I have to be honest, you're going to get more professional looking work. You know, Ham knows a lot more about computers than I do, about networking and video editing and that kind of stuff. So he knows a lot more about this stuff than I do. And in some cases, I just don't have the patience to get up and do the legwork for some of this stuff. And so that's why some of my streams and stuff look bootleg, but definitely check out his channel. And when we do our ACC Fridays, it's definitely interesting to see it from his channel because he's got 2 servers going on. And what that allows him to do is you can see his point of view, and he also has a broadcast angle going on, and he can switch back and forth at any given moment. So you might see him and then see a broadcast angle in the corner, and then he'll do the picture-in-picture and swap them out. So definitely check him out. So with all that being said, let's come on back and talk about Alvo or what brought me to this point. I've been a big supporter of PlayStation VR throughout the years, and I have fiercely defended PlayStation VR on many of occasions, and but I have to be honest. You guys have heard me complain about some of the issues that I had with PlayStation VR, the ones that were glaring to me when I first started complaining about this stuff a couple of years ago, was the lack of multiplayer games, the lack of first-person shooter games, and the lack of racing games. When I first came to PlayStation VR, there was really no bona fide first-person shooters there. I think the closest thing we had to first-person shooter at the time was Smashbox Arena, if I'm not mistaken, which I didn't play it, but it looks to me like you're running around with dodgeball guns, with guns that shoot balls. As far as racing games goes, we had Drive Club VR, and matter of fact, I think Drive Club was, if you want to call it a sim, Drive Club was the only sim racer on PlayStation VR that had multiplayer. But the visuals, how blurry it was terrible. Then you have GT Sport, no multiplayer, no VR multiplayer, and no ability to race against a full grid. And then there's the first, I did mention the first person shooter situation. I don't think we had got a bona fide first person shooter until Farpoint came out. And with Farpoint, the multiplayer part of it started out being co-op until they added 1v1, and then next up we had Bravo Team, which was co-op, but there was a couple of issues with Bravo Team. One was the scopes didn't work. Whenever you try to use them, it would freeze the game. And the other issue was enemies randomly spawning behind you, and since PlayStation VR isn't meant for you to turn all the way around, there was a button like a 180 button. You hit the triangle to turn around and face your enemies, which became confusing at times. So I think Firewall was the first legitimate multiplayer first-person shooter game. Looks like, all right, looks like we get a little bit of stutter here. 1 second. All right, we had a little bit of stutter. Hopefully that's that. Now, as I was saying, I think I was getting ready to talk about Firewall. You guys, by the time I started seeing frustrations with Firewall, by that time, all of my frustrations with PlayStation VR, period, culminated in me getting into the PC circuit. So, Firewall's still my favorite game. I mean, not my favorite game, is one of my favorites. It's still a great game, but the problems with the game, in my opinion, prevented me from getting the full experience out of the game, and that was the drifting with the aim controller, host migration, dedicated servers. And I don't think, I don't think none of that is the fault of the developer. I think it was a hardware issue. I think the drifting was a hardware issue. And I believe the host migration and the dedicated server situation was a decision by Sony. It's a Sony game, so it was on Sony, in my opinion, whether or not we had dedicated servers, and they chose not to do it. So we've had to deal with the situation where people leave, the room closes, and you have to go find another one. So all that stuff put together made it very frustrating and very tough for me to stay with Firewall for any length of time. Every time I dip back and play it, when it didn't happen that much. But whenever I dipped back into Firewall, it was pretty much wasn't more than a half an hour or so. You said, I've noticed loads of drift in Alvo today. Didn't have it last night. Well, this is what I noticed about the drift in Alvo. The first night that I played Alvo, there was virtually no drift, but I was in there with a bunch of bots. So I had come to the conclusion that if there was going to be drift, that the multiplayer was going to have something to do with it. As I feel that's definitely the case with Firewall. But what I was trying to find out was, with the drift, I believe multiplayer has something to do with it. But the question was it because of Firewall being peer-to-peer? So with Alvo having dedicated servers, I figure we might, we'll get some answers. So that being said, when I played Alvo with Ham and the VR realm, yes, there was drift, but it still wasn't near as bad as it wasn't near as bad as Firewall. It was manageable. In the case of Alvo, whenever I did experience drift, I shake the controller, and then when I pull it up, it'll hold still. That's not the case with Firewall. Once it starts to drift and you shake that controller, it immediately starts drifting again. So I was in a situation with Firewall with, whenever I was ready to shoot, I would have to shake it first before I shoot. And that's not a good situation where you getting shot at, and then you gotta shake the controller before you can pull the aim controller up and return fire. By the time you're already dead. And it made me look like I sucked at the game. I'm getting shot at, and you just don't have time to shake that controller and then pull it up and try to aim at your enemy and fire back. You're already dead by then. and that made it really, really frustrating to play because it was like being handcuffed. It was like being handicapped. But I think with Alvo yesterday, the drift was there, but it was manageable. I think that it was manageable to the point where I didn't blame anything on drift. It wasn't a situation where I was saying, oh, if it wasn't for the drift, I would have got more kills or something like that. You could definitely say that with Firewall. Firewall definitely plays a part in whether you live, die, or how many kills you get. So, one second, everybody. Okay, just getting a response from Ham as we're just trying to discuss what day we're going to do Gang V. Now, DJ, the drift that you say you experienced on Alvo today, I'm going to give it the benefit of the doubt and say maybe that's because maybe more people have the game now, and maybe it's something. I'm hoping it's something they can patch and fix. But if they can't fix it, I won't be upset with them because I think the drifting issue is a hardware issue and not a situation where the devs don't know what they're doing or something like that. So I'm sure, they're listening to feedback. And so if everybody's experiencing that problem with they're getting a ton of drift, I'd like to think that they're working on it. So I'd say give them some time. But in the meantime, yesterday I had loads of fun with Alvo. I don't normally get drift in Firewall, but I hope Alvo can fix it. See, and that's the other thing. You know how when something first comes out, the first wave of the hardware can be buggy? I'm also wondering if that plays a part in me getting drift because the PlayStation Pro, when that came out, I'm part of the first wave of buyers for the PlayStation Pro. The day that the PlayStation Pro released, I was on third shift. And I went and bought it the next morning when I got out of work. Because being that I had to work the day that it released, I was hoping to go to a store and hope they had a midnight release, but I couldn't confirm that anybody was going to be releasing the console at midnight. So I went ahead and went to work. And the next morning, I bought the PlayStation Pro. And again, I'm one of the first wave of buyers for the PlayStation Pro, as well as the Aim Controller. I'm one of the first wave of buyers for the Aim Controller because I bought it as part of the Farpoint bundle when it first came out. So I'm also trying to give that the benefit of the doubt too, that maybe with me buying the first wave of PlayStation Pro and the first wave of Aim Controllers, maybe that plays a part into why I'm experiencing drift. But I'm definitely not the only person that's had that problem though. So I don't know. Again, just give the devs time to address that. But coming back to how much fun I had with it, I had a ton of fun with this game. A couple of things have been said about the game, and I don't know. Let's talk about a couple of things about the game. Let's talk about love about the game is I love the grenade play. I love that grenades are a big part of this game. As far as first-person shooter games in VR that I played, I think only Firewall is the only other game where you have to be concerned about the grenades. Other games that I've played, like Onward, Pavlov, and Contractors, when the grenades explode, it looks like a firecracker, and it doesn't have a big blast radius. So, to me, it's like using grenades on those games is like a wasted perk. But in the case of Alvo and Firewall, grenades are big. You have to be, you have to be aware of the grenades because they have a big blast radius. Those are the two games where when I see a grenade coming my way, I run. The other games that I've mentioned, Onward, Pavlov, and Contractors, I see a grenade come my way, I just watch it fly by because I'm making the guess that the blast radius is going to be so small that I won't get caught by it. But Alvo and Firewall, the grenades got big blast radius, so I like that. You have to be aware of that. I think it's a little bit weird that when you look up and you see a grenade floating at you, it looks like a giant pineapple, but I'm still cool with that because it looks bigger than your average grenade. But I'm good with that. DJ said, "Have you been flashbanged in Alvo yet? Is really good and lasts for a while." No, I don't think I've been flashbanged yet. I've been on both ends of the dogs though. I mean, the first night I played it, I turned the dogs loose, and then I've also got eaten by the dogs too. And the dogs can be killed, I believe. People think you can't kill the dogs. When we were playing yesterday, and the dogs got out after us, I threw a grenade, and I think it took one of the dogs out. Because right before I died, yeah, Deathflow, you said that's what she said. It's really good. It lasts for a while. I got you. Right before I got killed by one of the dogs, I noticed one of the dogs was laying dead on the ground. So I do believe you can kill the dogs. I think it takes a lot to kill them, but you can't kill the dogs. And that's another thing about Alvo. Alvo is as far as I know, I think Alvo is the only first-person VR shooter that I know of that rewards you for kill streaks. I don't think there's any other games that reward you for kill streaks, in terms of in-game rewards. I think maybe a game like Firewall, I don't even think you get anything for kill streaks. It's just extra XP. And I don't know. I don't know the other games like Pavlov and stuff like that. I know with Contractors, you definitely don't get anything for a kill streak. I don't think you get anything for a kill streak in Pavlov either. So that being said, I think Alvo is the only game that I know of where you can activate perks for kill streaks. You activate a drone, you can the dogs. So I think that is pretty cool. I love that the dedicated servers, you don't have to wait for a match. You get in a match within seconds. And the night that I played, the first night I played the game, I knew it was a fun game, but I did believe that you would have even more fun when you play with your friends, and I was right. I had a ton of fun with you guys yesterday, DJ, Ham, VR Rim, No Man's Planet. I had a ton of fun yesterday. This is definitely a game, ton of fun. Another thing, another positive thing about this game is there's no blur. It's not, I love that sliding mechanic. I don't know how to do it, but yeah, I think it's a cool feature. You can slide in Contractors. You can slide in that game too, but I don't really see it. I don't know. I guess I just don't pay attention to that kind of stuff. But a fast-paced game like this, I can see where the sliding would be advantageous, so I need to learn how to do the sliding mechanic. So, but yeah, another thing I was going to say that I like about this game as far as being on PlayStation VR is clear. It's not clear like you would get out of a 4K headset or even the Quest 2, because the Quest 2 still has a resolution of 1948p, I believe, whereas PlayStation VR is 1080p. So no, you're not going to get 4K clarity, but it's clear. Whereas Firewall, on the other hand, it's like pick your poison. The background is already run, then press OK. All right, I'll probably give that a try later on tonight, because I do think I'm going to play Alvo for a little while later on. Now, once I get done with this podcast, I think I'm going to take a short nap. I know Ham is live right now doing Automobile Lista 2, but I'm like really, really tired. And if I didn't do this podcast right now, if I would have taken a nap, I know I would have woke up late, and it would have been too late to have this podcast. So I needed to do it now. Not to mention that I still have to work out today too. Said I need a map, right? But yeah, the clarity is there. So those are some of the positives that I can think of offhand. Simply Deep, what's up? So I'm just like flying by the seat of my pants talking about what I like about this game, but let's talk about. So how's your day going? I just got out of work, and just talking a little bit about Alvo, the latest first-person shooter to hit PlayStation VR. I need to build a bed under my desk at work. I guess that's something else I could talk about too before I go on to talk about the perceived negatives of this game. Is that I'm doing all right, Lincoln. Thanks for asking. Cool. Good to hear you're doing good. I have a PS5 and a PS4 Pro. Right now, my PlayStation VR is hooked up to my PlayStation Pro. I was planning on hooking it up to my PS5 to see if there was any added advantage to doing that. And after watching Gamertag stream, I don't see any added advantage of playing this game on the PS5. I think the only added advantage to playing this on the PS5 is because the storage on the PS5 is an SSD, it is probably going to load faster. I think that's the only advantage. Other than that, after watching Gamertag stream, I don't see any added advantage for playing this on the PS5. In fact, if I play it on the PS5 and I try to stream it, I would have to use this capture card right here, and I would lose the chat. I would lose the ability to see the chat. So it's just better off for me to just go ahead and stay on the PS4 Pro, because you can't stream PSVR games. You cannot stream them from the PS5. So in the best interest of being able to stream this game directly to YouTube, I'm better off still just keep playing it on the PS4 Pro. I just don't see any advantage of doing it on the PS5. So I mean, one day I still might do it just for curiosity's sake, just to see if there's any difference in performance. But right now, the way I'm feeling, I really don't see much point in doing it. Just for experimental purposes. That's the only reason why I would be doing it. So, before I boogie on out of here, let's get to the perceived negatives about this game. And that is the price. And I'm really the only person that I know of this really said anything about the graphics. I don't think the graphics are bad, but I've been honest in saying that I thought the graphics on Firewall is better, but there's a trade-off there. The graphics on Firewall is better, but the aliasing is horrible. There's so much glitter and firewall, you think you're in a jewelry store. And then when you turn on the anti-aliasing, it doesn't completely eliminate the glitter, but it makes all the visuals in the background really soft, therefore making it even more blurry than what it already is. So I'll take the Alvo trade-off every day of the week. The graphics don't look as good as Firewall, but there's no aliasing. I don't see any glittery edges everywhere, and it's clear. I can see everything. I can make out everything in the background. Whoa! DJ, you serious? You said you heard a rumor that First Contact have been banning anyone from their Discord that's playing Alvo at the moment? What did I tell you guys a couple of nights ago? I told you guys. Did I just shoot a stripper? I don't know. DJ, what did I tell you guys a couple of nights ago when I was first talking about Alvo? I said this Trent was good. I think Frank was playing with everyone last night. I mean, even though he changed his name to the game show, he's always going to be PSVR Frank to me, because PSVR Frank is one of the people that kept me from selling my PlayStation VR. Because when I first got my PlayStation VR, you guys know the story. I bought it for my son for Christmas. He wasn't playing it, so he brought it back over here. And I wasn't playing it. And so when I finally decided, okay, I'm going to give this thing a chance because I paid $500 for it. Once I started sinking my teeth into the PlayStation VR, that's when I started noticing the stuff that I wanted from it. That I wanted more first-person shooter games, more multiplayer games, more racing games, and it wasn't there. And I was on the point where I was debating about selling the PlayStation VR, but then I discovered Frank, and Frank was like, the games are coming, just be patient. And I was. And they delivered on a lot of stuff. Said, write me to that in chat and see base. Okay. But yeah, I mean, he's the game show now, but he's always going to be PSVR Frank to me. He's as far as I'm concerned, I call myself the godfather of VR, but as far as I'm concerned, Frank is the real godfather of VR. He's definitely the godfather of PlayStation VR. He's the pioneer, and I think he paved the way for people like Polish Paul and Petrifying Pumpkins and maybe Sugarhead Gaming. I think Frank came, at least I discovered Frank before all those guys. So, but coming back to what you said, DJ, about First Contact, you said I missed the Frank Show. What? The Frank Show, come on. The Frank Show, what? The Frank Show, come on. Yeah, I missed that jingle too. I mean, come on. Smooches. Yeah, Frank was a character. So, in a perfect world, I would love for him. You know what? When PSVR 2 comes out, I would love for Frank to come back to the scene and be the face for PSVR 2. I think that would be perfect. I mean, I think if he did that, I think a lot of the other VR YouTubers would step aside and be like, hey, this is your spot. You deserve to be up here more than any of us. So, yeah, that would be cool if Frank were to come back and be the face of PSVR 2. So Frank, if you're listening, get on back up there and take your spot back, and get ready to represent PSVR 2. It said, Trent, I want the Frank Show back. Yeah, definitely. But wow, First Contact is you hearing they're banning people from the Discord, but then again, DJ, what did I say a couple of days ago? I said that Alvo could be a serious threat to Firewall. Not because of whether it's better than Firewall or not, just for the simple fact that they got dedicated servers. Between the dedicated servers and the bots, you always going to be able to play. You never, oh, excuse me, you're never going to have to wait for rooms to fill up. And if somebody leaves, okay, you know, they get replaced with a bot until another live person shows up. In the case of Firewall, you guys heard me say that a million times. If the host leaves, the entire room shuts down and you got to go find another room. If the room is full and one person leaves, you guys are stuck in limbo until another person comes in and fills that last spot, and then the clock starts again. And Sony knows damn well that we've been screaming for dedicated servers, or at the very least host migration, for the longest, and they haven't done it. So and I've been telling people that if they haven't done it by now, they're not going to. So what you got out of Firewall right now is what you're going to get. You know, you might get more maps, you might get more operators, but that's it. As far as that issue with the drift, the issues with host migration, dedicated servers, no, they're not gonna, you know. I mean, because it's almost like once First Contact moved on to Solaris, it's almost like they forgot about Firewall. No blue screen so far. Cool. DJ, you said I think both games can live alongside each other. You know what? I was also thinking about this too, DJ. Honestly, if Firewall had the dedicated servers, I think Firewall and Alvo would be all you need on PlayStation VR. That's it. You wouldn't need anything else. Because they're two totally different games. You know, when you want a more slow tactical game, you go to Firewall. When you want the fast-paced Call of Duty type games, then you go to Alvo. And so because they're two different types of game, yes, they both can live alongside each other. They both can exist in the same space. But I think a huge part of that Firewall crowd is going to gravitate over to Alvo. For one thing, it's the new game. And number two, it's got the dedicated server, so you'll never have to wait. So, and, you know, it is presumed that PlayStation VR 2 will be out next year. And Sony has already indicated, you know, Sony has already shown you, in my opinion, that they kind of left PlayStation VR behind because they removed the VR. They removed the VR part from the store on the PS4. There's a VR section on the PS5 store, but on the PS4, they removed the VR part of the store. DJ, when PSVR 2 comes out and COVID VR is announced, Call of Duty VR is announced, PSVR will go mainstream in its game all over for all the shooters. No, that's not going to happen, DJ, unless Sony is willing to pay them a ton of money. I don't have any doubt that Call of Duty can make it to VR. But you know how greedy Activision is, and so they're going to want to be able to maximize their profits. Therefore, Call of Duty would be on both, you know, as far as VR goes, it would be on both PC and PlayStation VR. Unless Sony drops a bag on them like they did with the Resident Evil game. Because there's still PC people that want Resident Evil. You said it's like comparing Rainbow Six Siege and Call of Duty. Yeah, correct, Trent. That's basically what you got in VR with those two games. Now, on the other hand, with it being rumored that Guerrilla Games was supposed to be working on a first-person shooter game, at first I thought it might be another Killzone game, but then when we had learned that they had took in a big chunk of the Rainbow Six team, that they hired some of them, my next thought was that, okay, maybe they're working on the Navy SOCOM game that people have been talking about that's been rumored. So I thought maybe it's possible that they might be working on a Navy SEAL SOCOM game and it has VR support. If they do that, nobody, I don't think, they're going to steal a big chunk of the VR market if they do that. Because that's a game that people want to come back to PlayStation, and if you give it VR support, yeah, that would take up that would keep a lot of the VR people at home. I will say that, Sony got it right with the controllers for PSVR 2. I mean, it was a simple fix. Just give us some damn thumbsticks. We're going to get them now. And because of that, in the power of the PS5, if people don't want to get a PC, they can stay on PlayStation VR 2, because they'll have industry standard controllers, and I would like to think that the new headset is going to be inside out as far as tracking goes, which I'd like to think that they'll show us the headset in a couple of months. I can't see them showing us the controllers and then making us wait 8-9 months to see the headset. I think we'll see what the headset looks like within the next couple of months. So, not only that, I hope that we see some of the games that they got planned. I hope they, whenever they do like, what is it, PAX, one of their PAX shows or something like that, I hope they'll show us some games coming up for PlayStation VR 2. I mean, we already know some games are going to come to PlayStation VR 2. We know that Lo-Fi is coming to PlayStation VR 2. We know that Pavlov Shack is coming to PlayStation VR 2. I don't know how that's going to be received, because Pavlov, as far as the character models goes, the graphics are all right as far as the character models goes, but as far as the maps goes, it looks like, it's kind of got like some PS2, PS3 type graphics. Yeah, but when do you think it will come out? I think PlayStation this Christmas, I hope. Sony has already said it's not coming out in 2021. I do think PlayStation VR will come out in the first half of 2022, and the reason why I say that is because Gran Turismo 7 or GT7 got pushed back. Myself, GT7, you said I'm hoping for a Christmas release. Me too. I hope it happens, but I don't think it will. Maybe. I don't know. But, Jim Ryan had already made it clear that, PlayStation VR 2 wasn't coming out in 2021. So everybody's taking it for granted that it's going to come out in 2022. Now, what I think is going on is I think GT7, I think that game's ready to go. I think the reason why Sony delayed it is so they can use it as a launch title for the new VR headset, because Resident Evil Village will be out in May. And I don't think I think if it were up to Sony, they would probably use that game as a launch title for PlayStation VR 2, but I don't think the developers want to wait that long to release their game. You said, GT7 will be one of the flagship games. Now look, the current PlayStation VR, they had, Resident Evil 7 was the big launch title. And I think Sony wants to do the same thing with PSVR 2. They want to have that blockbuster launch title. And if it were up to them, I think Resident Evil Village would be that game. But that game is scheduled to come out in May. And I don't think Sony would be willing to spend the kind of money it would take to make them wait till next year to release the game. That being said, Resident Evil Village comes out in May. Therefore, that kind of leaves Sony with no blockbuster game to launch for the new VR headset. Hence, you have GT7 being pushed back until next year, because it's already their title and they wouldn't have to pay anybody to hold up and wait until next year. DJ saying that Saying that, I want the opportunity to buy a goddamn PS5 still. And then Trent, you said maybe they're working on a new PlayStation wheel. That's another interesting scenario. I mean, well, that's an interesting scenario because like right now I have a Thrustmaster T150 and it's compatible with it. You know, it's basically made for PlayStation, but it's a PC wheel too. But as far as PlayStation goes, it works on PS3 and PS4. I have not hooked it up to my PS5 yet to see if it'll work on my PS5, but maybe I should. Yeah, maybe I should hook it up to my PS5 and see if it'll work. So stay tuned. The big thing I'm dealing with right now is, like, for instance, GT Sport. It's a really big file, and I have to watch my data cap. And I went over my data cap last month, but they give you a courtesy. They give you a like a mulligan that if you go over, they won't charge you for it, but they only give you one of those a year. So I have to be mindful of my data cap so I don't go over. Therefore, there's a lot of games in my backlog that I cannot re-download them because it would put me over my data cap. Because some of these files are really big, like Asgard's Wrath is 130 gigs. I think a GT Sport is like 80, 90 gigs. That Call of Duty Warzone is like 100 gigs or something like that. So I got a lot of games in my backlog that I cannot download them because it would put me over my data cap. So what I think relative to GT Sport, I think what I'll do is wait towards the end of the month, and I'll check my data. I'll check my data usage, and if I got enough room, if I got enough data left, I'll put GT Sport on my PS5, and I'll test my racing wheel with it and see if my racing wheel works on the PS5 or do we have to wait for some next gen wheels. We'll have to see. Yeah, Alvo was 6 gigs. That really shocked me. Because there was some of the footage that they showed on Alvo, the lighting, everything looked good and stuff. So I'm thinking to myself that this file is probably going to be at the minimum 15 gigs because when Firewall first launched, I think that file was only not only, but when Firewall first launched, I think that file was about 18 gigs. But now with all the maps and operators and stuff like that they've added to Firewall, that file is up to 39 gigs now. So that being said, I was really shocked, but that explains, but the file size explains why the graphics on Alvo isn't as good as Firewall. But hey, I can get past that. I can get past it. DJ, you said, can you get GT Sport on disc to get around that? See, that's the thing about it, though. I do have GT Sport on disc. All right. Let me give you an example. Rainbow Six, in its current form right now, is a big file. It's like 70 something gigs, and I have Rainbow disc. I have the physical disc on both Xbox and PlayStation. So, because I've got Rainbow Six across the board. I got it on my Xbox One S. I got it, I got it for PlayStation, for my PlayStation Pro. I downloaded it on my PS5, and I have it on PC. Anyway, the file's about 75 gigs, right? So I popped the disc into my PS4, and it started out saying that the file was only like 24 gigs. And then all of a sudden, boom, it popped up and said that the file was like 72 gigs. So I'm led to believe that with some of these physical discs that you have, I'm starting to feel like only half of the game is on the disc. You throw it in there, and it has to go download the rest of the game from the internet. So that's what I think would be the case with GT Sport. If I was to pop that disc into my PS5, I think it would only download about half of it, and then I would have to get the rest of it from the internet. So again, I'm faced with that situation with in the PS5. Not only do I have to watch my data cap, but with the PS5, I don't have a lot of space left because, the disc is a key. You're basically getting the game from the internet. All the disc is proof that you bought the game. And then another thing that I have to be mindful of with my PS5 is the games that's already on my PS5. Those files are big. The Call of Duty Cold War is a big file. Rainbow's a big file on there because it's got the next gen patch on there. Madden is a good size file. Assassin's Creed Valhalla is a good size file. Even downloading Firewall on my PS5 was like 39 gigs. That being said, I don't have a lot of room left. What about Starlink internet? I don't know if we have that here. I mean, as far as this apartment complex where I live at, only like Comcast, which Comcast/Xfinity, and AT&T are the only internet providers available to me. And I think I burned a bridge with AT&T because I became disgruntled with them, and I told them to close my account, and they closed my account, but they still billed me. They still billed me after the account was closed, and I refused to pay it. And have a 4 terabyte hard drive. Now, I've got external hard drives. On my PC, I've got a 5 terabyte Seagate. That hard drive was originally on my PS4 Pro. Well, the problem is, once I got hooked on VR, I was buying all my games on PC and wasn't buying anything on the PlayStation. So I got this huge hard drive on the PlayStation that's not being utilized. So I took that hard drive and moved it over to my PC, and all the stuff that was on that hard drive that was on the PS5, all of it got deleted. He says Starlink is internet. Starlink internet is from Tesla and it comes from space, huh? I don't know. I guess I'd have to see how much it costs per month. Let me do a quick Google on it. Because I would love nothing better than to get away from these $90 monthly payments from Xfinity. Ooh, wee. Woo. Woo. Hold on, Trent. I'm about to show you something. Yeah, you're right about that. It's 100. It says $99 a month. But let me show you something. I don't know if you're going to see this or not. A one-time $499 fee. Are you nuts? I gotta pay $500 to get my foot through the door, and then pay $100 a month on top. Pay $100 a month on top of that. That's nuts. And it's still in beta. Oh, but let me read this real quick. It says, although Starlink is still in its infancy, Starlink satellite internet is undergoing a public invitation-only beta in limited parts of the US, Canada, and the UK. Starlink is currently the only unlimited satellite provider in the US offering truly unlimited full-speed data. That is, okay, that's different. Unlimited data, full speed unlimited data, that's different. If it wasn't for that $500 one-time fee, I would strongly consider it. I really would, because I'm currently paying $90 a month, and I only get like 1,229 gigs of data each month. And so there's people that made YouTube videos on it. Okay. Now, if they can, if this Starlink ever gets to the point where they waive that $500 fee and they can get that monthly price down to $75 a month, you don't think you can game on it right now? You know what? I'm still cool with it right now because it's in its infancy stage. We will get to the point where you can game on it, because we need another competitor to Xfinity and AT&T. Because in my opinion, AT&T, Xfinity, Spectrum, I don't know if Charter's still around or not, but in my opinion, all these internet providers, they're my boss families. What happened, I don't know about other states, but what was going on here in Michigan, it was like the internet providers had territories. So for a while, right here where I lived, Comcast was your only option for internet service, and they was treating their customers like dog shit because of it, because they knew that they were your only option in your area. But then our governor at the time, her name was Jennifer Graham, which she won a bet against Arnold Schwarzenegger when the Pistons took on the Lakers in the finals. But she had signed a bill allowing internet providers to compete with each other. So now, instead of just Xfinity, now AT&T is here. And I'm thinking to myself that because they're in competition, we're going to get better deals. That wasn't the case. Their prices were the same. So what I'm led to believe is that once Jennifer Graham signed a bill for internet providers to compete with each other, I think they all had a secret meeting like a mob families. I think they all came together and agreed we'll charge the same. All of us will charge the same across the board. That way, no matter who they run to, they're going to pay the same, and we'll all split the money up. And we'll all split the money up evenly. So when you go threatening Comcast that you're going to run to AT&T, Comcast is probably thinking, so what? You know, AT&T is going to charge you the same amount, and under the table, we're getting a piece of that money because they probably, had their little secret agreement in the bottom of somebody's Italian home having dinner. He said, I'm in Canada. We have two choices across the country. Okay. You say, yeah, SpaceX launched new satellites all the time. Yeah, it's only a matter of time before this Starlink, whatever you're talking about, where you can game on it. And once you get to the point where you can game on it and they make it affordable, yeah, now AT&T and Comcast is gonna have a lot to worry about. That is, unless they bring them into the family. It's like, I want you to meet Everybody here at the table. Over here representing the West Coast, we have AT&T. Over in the central part of the United States, we have Spectrum Industries and Spectrum Internet. And myself representing Comcast Xfinity. We want to welcome you into the family, and we think it's in the best interest for you to join our syndicate and charge the same rate as us across the country. You know, one of the mob boss meetings. I really do think they had a secret meeting like that. I really do think those internet providers had a secret meeting like that. Because how is it that once our governor signs it into law that they can compete with each other, that they can set up anywhere they want and they can compete with each other? Now all of a sudden they all got the same prices for the same amount of data, and they pretty much offer the same speeds. So I believe they had a secret meeting, a secret meeting, and they all agreed we all going to charge the same rate across the board, and we'll all split the money with each other. Kind of the way the NFL teams do. The NFL, they all split that money, like that stadium money and shit like that. Like here where the Detroit Lions in Michigan, that money, they probably keep the majority of it, but they still have to split parts of it with the NFL, with the rest of the teams. Because that's in the contract. One time, Jerry Jones was about to get fined by the commissioner because he went off and signed a deal with Nike. Because I think at the time, Reebok was the official. They were the one who were the official endorsers of NFL. NFL jerseys that the players wore. So while the rest of the league was wearing Reebok, I think while the rest of the league was wearing Reebok, Jerry Jones signed a deal with Nike. And so everybody in the league except Dallas was wearing Nike jerseys. And the NFL was about to sue him because he went off the tracks creating his own deal with Nike and not wearing the official logo of the rest of the teams. But he agreed to split that money with the rest of the league. So he ended up giving the league a big chunk of that money that he signed with Nike. And then I think after he did it, I think the Raiders turned around and did it. So I think that's the situation you got with the cable providers. So if now Starlink, if they want to operate on their own, then I think they'll give us competitive wages and they'll be a legitimate threat to like AT&T and Xfinity and all the other providers. But if they have that secret meeting and they bring Starlink into the family, it's not going to matter. You're going to pay the same shit. So I went so far off the tracks that I didn't even get a chance to talk about the two kind of glaring issues with Alvo. And I already talked about the graphics. That was because I'm really, as far as I know, I'm the only one who's even said anything about the graphics. I said it before. The graphics aren't bad, but I'm just being honest and saying that the graphics on Firewall is better. And I don't have a problem with the graphics. The graphics are fine to me. If they don't do anything to the graphics, great. If they give it if they pull out the paintbrush and touch it up a little bit over time, that'll be great too. But I don't want them touching up the graphics if it's going to come at the expense of performance. I don't want them touching up the graphics if it's going to make the game run janky and stuff. So if it makes a game run janky, leave the graphics alone. Don't touch them. But if you can do it without compromising the performance, great. And then the biggest elephant in the room that everybody's been talking about. You say, yeah, I noticed, but it's so fast paced, I don't care. Yeah, and it's so much more fun when you play with your friends too. You know, another thing, before I come back to this price thing, another thing that I like about Alvo is the Ragdoll Effects when people die, which, you know, other games do it too. When you get blown up by a grenade on firewall, the Ragdoll will send the body flying. And it's on the other games like Pavlov and shit like that. Same deal, but you don't see it as much because those grenades have such a small blast radius. But in the case of Alvo, not only do you see bodies flying when they get caught by a grenade, I love the Ragdoll effects where if somebody's walking on top of the house and you shoot them, their body falls off the house. Whereas Firewall, for instance, if somebody's on top of a ledge or something like that and you shoot them and they drop to their knees and they sit there, they'll sit there until somebody finishes them or until they get healed, but they'll drop to their knees, and then if you finish them, they'll just lay flat. Whereas Alvo, they're dead. You know, there's no downing them and stuff like that. You kill them, their body falls over the side of the building. So I love that effect too. Main thing I want to know is, will future DLC be free or behind paywalls? I think it's going to be both, and I don't have a problem with that because you got to keep in mind what these people went through. I mean, this was, in my opinion, this was a very ambitious game, and this game was first announced in 2017. And out of all the games that were announced for PlayStation VR back then, we had Alvo, Firewall, and Special Force VR, which I think went on to become not Zero Caliber, but I forgot the other one. It's called Zero something. And it isn't even on PlayStation VR yet. But Alvo was the first that I saw out of legitimate first-person shooter games that was going to be multiplayer. And Alvo was the one that I was looking the most forward to. I mean, between Alvo, Firewall, and what was supposed to be Special Force VR, out of the 3 trailers that I seen, Alvo was the one that I was looking forward to the most. And we know that they lost funding, and so the game was on the shelf. So for a while, it looked like we weren't going to get Alvo. But they got, they found new investors, and they were able to finish the job, and now here it is. I mean, being that they got new investors, these investors are going to want returns on their investments. That being said, yeah, some of this stuff has to be behind paywalls. So I think that being said, and with them listening to community feedback, I think it's going to be give and take. I think they're going to give us some things for free, and there's going to be some things that we're going to have to buy. I'm okay with that. So, and that segues into the price that people have been talking about. People think $40 is a little expensive for this game. And I don't know if they say that because of the graphics, because it doesn't have AAA looking graphics. But I say this. Here's my thoughts on, because the game retails for $40. Right now, it's discounted. So it's $30 right now for the next 2 weeks. And then it goes up to $40. Here's my thought on the game costing $40. I'm not going to lie, when I first saw that it was $40, I cringed a little. But at the same time, when Firewall came out and it was announced at $40, I cringed at that a little bit too. But I went ahead and shoveled the money out. I didn't, damn, I want $40. It's crazy. I didn't go nuts. I just went ahead and paid the $40. I feel the same way about this game. Now, when Jamal Adams was good, when you do the blow for blow, when you compare Alvo to Firewall, in my opinion, the only advantage that Firewall has over Alvo is the graphics. In my opinion, what is it? You know, people didn't really complain about Firewall costing $40. That being said, what's so great about Firewall, or what's so bad about Alvo that you'll pay $40 for Firewall, but you cringe about paying $40 for Alvo? I mean, what's the issue there? Why is it that you don't have a problem paying $40 for Firewall, but you got a problem paying $40 for Alvo? Now look, here's the thing, DJ. You said that $40 price tag could make Alvo the new Space Junkies. I get that. I get what you guys are saying. I don't disagree with what you guys are saying. Like, I'm saying it from my standpoint. I didn't have a problem paying the $40. Even though I cringed a little, I paid the $40 for Firewall. And if it was $40 for Alvo, I would have paid the $40 for Alvo. You said Firewall has that AAA feel. Not to me. Not when I have drifting issues with that controller. Not when we have rooms closing every other match because the host left. Not when you have to wait, for a match until the rooms are completely full. Now, I get what you're saying about... I get what people were trying to say about Alvo possibly being the next Space Junkies at the $40 price tag. I get that. But out of the gate, I think you're getting more for your $40 with Alvo than you did with Space Junkies, because bear in mind, when Space Junkies first came out, they didn't put any bots in there. There was no bots in Space Junkies when it first came out. There was no dedicated servers, in my opinion. At least I don't think so. I think when you were ready to play, everybody just went inside the went inside that portal, and then the game would start. And if it was only two of you in there, then it was only two of you in there. At least with Alvo, you got bots. So even if you're the only one in there, you still got a full room. Trent, you said when Firewall first came out, there was like 5 maps. Yeah. And they added to it. They've added to it. And I think the majority of those maps, was free. But where they got you at was the operators, and then they tried to create like some kind of battle pass type shit, or some kind of season pass, which I bought it the first season but didn't buy it anymore after that. I mean, why the hell should I spend money for these season passes when they won't fix the goddamn host migration and dedicated servers? Like, I couldn't... to me, it didn't make sense to buy a season pass for a game that I'm not going to be able to enjoy that much because I'm frustrated with the rooms closing all the damn time and frustrated with the controller drift that they cannot fix. And that's not a knock on the devs. That's a Sony thing. Trent, you said I stopped playing VR because of Firewall, and I came back for Alvo. You could say that's kind of where I'm at right now. Atomic Wasteland, it's 2021 and we still only have 5-on-5. There's other games out there that have more than that. As far as VR goes, I think like Pavlov, I think you can do like 8 versus 8. There was another game where unfortunately their servers is about to close down. Frostpoint, that game is 10 versus 10. And then you have another game called War Dust, where it's 32 versus 32. And even though the graphics are something that's left to be desired, War Dust, the 32 versus 32, is basically Battlefield in VR. So there's a lot of games out there. There's a lot of first-person shooter games where it's more than 5 versus 5. But I think 5-on-5, I think that's the sweet spot anyway. You know, unless you want to play games like War Dust 32 versus 32, I think 5 versus 5 is cool. Trent, you said there's a new Battle Royale coming. I don't know what that would be, but I do know that I'm going to get in touch. I'm going to talk to Ham, and we're going to figure out a day for Gang V. Gang V is a game that was originally going to be called Drive By. It's basically a Grand Theft Auto type of Battle Royale game. So keep your eyes open for that. So, but you know, it's going back to what you said, Trent, about you said you stopped playing VR because of Firewall and came back for Alvo. So that being said, and that was the whole title of this podcast. I talked about my reasons. I talked about my frustrations about PlayStation VR for the millionth time. Lack of first-person shooters, lack of sim racers, lack of multiplayer games altogether. That's what made me go to PC. Once I got the PC and I seen the tons of multiplayer games, the amount of AAA sim racers that have VR support, like a set of Corsa Competizione, a set of Corsa, R Factor, those race room experience. All those games are sim racers with VR support. You can race online in VR. You can race against a full grid against the AI in VR, something you do not have on GT Sport. There's a ton of first-person shooter games in VR on PC. And then there's just a ton of multiplayer games in general. As far as that goes, when it comes to playing VR on PC, the multiplayer games, before the Quest came along, there was too many games and not enough people to play them. You had these first-person shooter games where the lobbies were dead because there was nobody there. But now, with the emergence of the Oculus Quest 2, all of the first-person shooter games have enough people there that you never have to go look for a match. So that takes me to my point that as far as PSVR goes, really the only game that I would come back to is Star Wars Squadrons. I would only come back to Firewall maybe like once a month. And every time that I would come back to Firewall, it'd be the same shit. The host leaves, the room shut down. Somebody gets pissed off because we lost the match, they leave. Controller drift. It was the same shit. So every time I jumped into Firewall, after about a half hour, I would get frustrated and quit. That being said, out of all the games in my PlayStation VR library, Star Wars Squadron was pretty much the only game that I would come back to every now and then. So if it wasn't for Star Wars Squadrons, I told Ham that I was getting ready to put my VR in the closet. I was getting ready to put my PlayStation VR in the closet because other than Star Wars Squadrons, which I have that game on PC, there wasn't much reason for me to play, But Alvo has given me a reason to not only stay with PlayStation VR, but Alvo has given me a reason to play it on a regular basis. And then streaming from the PlayStation is so simple. It's so simple. Just hit the share button, type in the title, and just start streaming. Whereas when I stream, when I play on the PC and I stream on the PC, my checklist is a mile long. I got to check so many boxes to make sure that this is running, make sure this app is open, make sure this input that I got the correct source, you know, all that shit. You know, the checklist is a mile long. And it's super simple to stream from the PlayStation. So, and that's another reason why I'm going to leave my PlayStation VR headset on my PS4 Pro. So it's super easy to just grab my aim controller, put the headset on, hit the share button, and just play Alvo and stream it. And like I said, it's in my bedroom, so I can wake up out of bed and grab my VR headset and just play something in there. So yeah, right there, Trent, you hit it on the head. You know, that's the title, and that's what the whole purpose of the title of this podcast was about. Is that I was at a point with my PlayStation VR where I was thinking about putting it in the closet. I was even thinking about selling it, but to put it bluntly, Alvo has saved PlayStation VR for me. It says, and in Firewall, when you blue screen, it ends the stream. I've never had a blue screen before on Firewall. So the first time I seen you say that blue screen stuff, it kind of had me, like blue screen, what's he talking about? I never had that happen with Firewall. I mean, I've gotten the blue screen before on flat screen games, but I've never gotten a blue screen before on Firewall. Okay. Yeah, for real, Trent. I never caught the blue screen with Firewall. So, I've had a ton of blue screens in Firewall. Well, I don't know what to tell you guys. It hasn't happened to me. But I think Firewall is known for blue screen. Wow. Jeez. I don't feel like I'm going to work out. I'm going to work out later. So I think I'll get ready to hang this up here in a few minutes and go watch Ham. I know those guys are playing Automobilista too. I don't know how much they're still playing it. So I'll probably just watch his stream because I don't feel like grabbing my racing wheel out of the corner and setting all that stuff up. And then, like I said, you know, for me to stream it, I got to go through like 100-point checklist to make sure everything is where it's supposed to be in order for me to do the stream. Because when I stream from my PC, I use two PCs. I use the gaming PC to play on naturally, and then this PC that I'm sitting at right here, that's the streaming PC. So I have to run to both of these computers and you know, check the boxes on both of these PCs. I got to come over here, make sure I got the correct source, make sure I got the correct settings as far as which direction I want to direct the audio and all that kind of shit. I have to edit the title, the thumbnail and stuff like that for the stream. And then over on the gaming PC, I got to open up the Oculus headset. I got to set up my racing wheel. Got to open up the Discord. I got to do all kinds of shit. You know, it's a long ass checklist streaming from PC with you know, streaming from the PlayStation is lickety splits. Just hit the share button and go. So that being said, I am going to take a nap. I'm going to watch a little bit of Ham's. I'm going to watch his stream, and then I'm going to take a nap. And if I don't wake up too late, because I woke up real late last night. After I got done playing Alvo with Ham, I went to sleep, and when I woke up, it was midnight. So all I could do was just eat and then go back to bed and get ready for work. So I'm really tired right now, and I'm going to go ahead and watch a little bit of Ham. I'm going to watch his stream, and then from there, I'm going to take a nap. And if I wake up at a decent hour, then I'll stream some more Alvo. It's a fun game, and it's really simple. Like I said, it's really simple to stream. Just hit the share button. So that being said, I'm going to go ahead and boogie on out of here. Trent, DJ, thanks for tuning in. I really appreciate it and sticking it out with me throughout this whole this whole stream. And if you guys haven't done it yet, please do me a solid and hit the like button. I'm on a mission to try to reach 1,000 subs. I think that is the threshold that I need to meet, where I'm in a situation where VR devs will reach out to me and ask me to test their games, where months ago I would reach out to devs and ask them for review keys and stuff like that with minimal responses. I mean, for every 10 devs that I contacted, I would probably only get a response from 2 of them. That being said, I got to take my hat off to Ham, because he's contacted devs and he's gotten us 3 keys, over the past 3 weeks. So we had good streams with Grapple Tournament. What was the other one that we played? The name of that real-time shooter game. Let me see the name of that game again. And I'm embarrassed to say that. There, Guardians. That's it, Guardians. So yeah, I mean, Ham's done a wonderful job contacting developers and getting keys for us. So I'm gonna sub to Ham now. Yeah, remember his the link to his YouTube channel is in the description. So just go to the description of this stream and there's a link to his channel. Go ahead and sub to his channel. I believe he's live streaming Automobile Lister 2 right now. Go and check him out. That's my UK partner in crime. And I go out and I consider him one of my best YouTube friends. I consider him one of my best friends. So definitely go check him out. So that being said, I'm gonna go ahead and boogie on out of here. And again, hopefully I'll get up at a decent hour. And if I do, then I'll stream Alvo again. So once again, give a shout out to the developers of Alvo. I'd imagine they've been through a lot, and they stayed with the dream. They made it happen. I think they gave us a good game, and I think this is going to be a solid game for years to come. As far as the only thing that I wish is I wish that they hadn't run across that unfortunate situation where they lost the funding. Because if things would have remained on schedule, I think this game would have came out 2 years ago, and we would have had so much content by now. I think we would have had so many maps and characters to choose from, new weapons, all that kind of stuff. All that stuff's going to come. But hey, better late than never. So again, congratulations to the devs. Nicholas Taylor, what's good? Unfortunately, you caught the tail end of this because I'm getting ready to wrap it up. So hopefully you'll go back and watch the replay, or you can catch me later on when I stream Alvo, assuming I get up at a decent hour. So I dragged this outro long enough, so I'm gonna get on out of here. Thanks for watching, everybody. You guys know the line. Wakanda forever. Long live the king with my ashy ass dried out hands. Long live the king. And deuces. Catch you later, everybody.